grabbing the kids. Alrighty, so we are live. It feels like I start every single stream with that.
That could
Need
be your
to
catchphrase.
something. I was thinking maybe I just need to come up with something. Yeah.
It's not a bad one though.
No, we're live from the morgue. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. I like that.
Find something to dress it up with.
Right.
Yeah. So how was your week, or how has your weekend been?
It's been pretty good. I mean, it's really been hot, but other than that, I can't complain. I really can't.
Yeah.
I saw that new movie Long Legs, so that was
Oh,
that
I've
was
been wanting
interesting.
to watch that. I just found out Oz Perkins directed that. I was like, I didn't know he directed.
Yeah. Yep. It's definitely something I would recommend to check out if you get the chance to.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to take a look. I don't watch trailers because I like to blind watch everything, but as soon as I saw the poster, hey, as soon as I saw the poster, I was like, I have to watch that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's just so funny. Obviously, the connection he has in horror, being the son of Anthony Perkins, and
Yeah.
he's had some really good films he's done, and I really think this one, I think there's going to be a lot of conversation about it, and there already is, and I
Oh,
tried
okay.
to stay away from it, like even on X
Yes.
and stuff.
Yes. It's all over the place. As soon as I see it
Yeah.
mentioned, I scroll past.
Yep. Absolutely. But I was lucky enough to avoid everything until we saw it yesterday, and I'm so glad I avoided everything. It was
That's good.
it was a good movie experience.
Yeah, that happened to me with it. The first part, everyone kept talking about it. I'm like, you guys already ruined it. I might as well watch it, even though I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I sat there begrudgingly, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah. Right. It's crazy because online, well, I mean, and it's funny because I always say this too. I mean, we're kind of part of that machine in a way too, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just, it is what it is. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the 90s. Stop that. It's not the 90s when people would keep the ending to themselves, even if there was a twist or something. It's everybody has to go and blab about it.
That's right. Yep.
Hey, Slipknot. And then
Hey,
I remembered really quick because I was rewatching it a couple of months back. Oz Perkins was in Legally Blonde.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember that. That's cool.
Yeah, he was the bookish guy.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a good deep cut. I like that.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I saw one of his earlier films, Dead and Breakfast. That one's pretty fun.
Now, I haven't seen that one, but I'll tell you what, after yesterday, I was saying, man, I got to make sure I catch up on everything that he's done.
Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning in that same direction. Like, I missed a whole bunch of years. I'm like, I don't know what was going on. And
Mm-hmm.
if I don't know if this is his directorial debut or if he's done others.
No, this isn't his debut. He did a couple films that, at least that I've checked out. One was called The Black Coat's Daughter.
I haven't seen that. I've heard lots of good stuff
Ooh,
about it.
I'm telling you, you got to check that out. I wouldn't say. I mean, I would say check that out
Stop it.
before Long Legs if you get a chance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's talented. He's really talented.
Yeah. I mean, and it's good that he's, adding to his father's legacy is the way I would see it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, Slipknot hasn't seen this one. This was my first
Okay.
time watch for this movie. I remember hearing about it in the early 2000s, and for some reason I thought I had seen it, and I'm like, no, it was one that slipped past me.
Yeah, it's funny because when you said, when you had this as the idea to talk about, I remembered the film name because it's a very unique name.
Yes.
but I couldn't really remember the film. And from what I pieced together after watching it was like I just saw bits and pieces of it back when it came out and never really reconnected to it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I will say, once I finished it, I was like, oh wow, this was a
Hmm.
this was a great idea to check it
Yeah.
out.
It was pretty good. Like I didn't figure out the twist until maybe midway.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't dawn on me. I thought the guy Josh Hartnett. I thought he was actually Bruce Willis's son in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So, saw it once, not seen it in years. Do a rewatch. Yeah, I would recommend that. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. The
I agree.
especially with that opening scene about what was it? Look left, and then Bruce Willis
Yeah.
is right behind him and snaps his neck.
The Kansas City Shuffle.
There you go.
Yep.
Yes, and it even sounds catchy.
It it does, man. It really does. It pulled me in too.
I got caught up in the story, and then it was like I was like, that was fast. He got right behind him.
Yeah. It was good.
hmm Yeah, it was a good cast, though. I'm surprised more people haven't talked about it. And I mean, then again, I don't really run through the action circles too much. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it had so many good actors in it. Once, when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many of these great actors.
yeah, I don't
Like,
remember
yeah.
Tisa Farrow being in this.
Uh, let's see. Oh, Slipknot said, "Do you guys know an Italian horror?" Oh yeah, Anthropophagus. Yeah.
Yes.
Yo, yo, oh yeah, oh yeah. I
I
actually, yeah, I did a stream on that a long time ago. That was a
yeah.
movie.
I watched it for the first time on Joe Bob, even though someone had gifted it to me years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could have liked it. I didn't know the twist or the shock ending. And I'm watching this thing and I'm like, this movie is so boring. And then
Mm.
you finally get to the reveal and it's like, so
I think so. Yeah, it's listen, I mean, and you know this as well as anyone. When you're talking about Italian horror, you gotta, at least for me, I've got to watch it when I'm in a certain mind frame,
yes,
you know.
yes.
And this movie, I remember we did it as a stream on Slasher Movie Club, and I felt the same way. I thought that it was odd pacing at times,
Mm-hmm.
kind of drawn out at times, but the concept of it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, that's what kind of drew me in. I was like, okay, well, this sounds like this could be pretty good. And there were some creepy moments and obviously a couple shocking moments and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
it's definitely something, if you're big in Italian horror, or if you
Mm-hmm.
want something to watch that you haven't seen that was, from way back in the day, it's not a bad, movie to check out, but you got to be in the right frame of mind.
Yes. Um, yeah, because and maybe I've just gotten to used to different types of like I don't think Lucio Fulci did this one. I don't remember who the director was.
Yeah, I can't
And
remember either.
oh yeah, and Slipknot says Tisa Farrow was in this, so that's kind of why I was leaning towards Fulci because he also did Zombie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zombie's great.
I love that one. That has to be my favorite Italian horror, and I have a huge poster. I haven't gotten around to hanging it up in my new place, but it usually goes in the living room.
Mm. Yeah, I think Zombie's definitely up there for me too for Italian horror. If I was to, geez, you just gave me an idea. I don't think I've ever done a ranking of favorite Italian horror, but Zombie would definitely be up there for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a huge fan. I know it sounds crazy. I'm a huge fan of The Beyond.
Yes,
It's
that
just,
one's good.
yeah, it's just so crazy. It makes no sense, but
The I
you
mean,
know,
my way of rationalizing it is kind of look at it like Della Morte, Della Mora. Like you've got
mm,
surreal elements, you've got fantasy. Just go with it.
yeah, just experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Don't try to find the logic in it. Just
No,
just just watch it and just let it happen.
and that's most Italian horror. Like just if you try to find some kind of sense to make out of it, you won't enjoy it.
That's right. Yep. That's true. Very true. Yep.
Let me see. Oh, UFO Bigfoot says howdy horror. Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Hey.
And then Slipknot says it's what it's. I'm not wearing my glasses. It's unclear whether he's a crazy human or a zombie. What do you guys think he was?
Well, I don't know. I don't think he was. We'll put it this way. He definitely wasn't like a regular human. Let's put it that
No.
way. He definitely could have been crazed or, diseased, kind of like, kind of like how they talk about in the 28 Days movies, how they're not technically zombies. They're just
No, it's a
infected
virus.
with a virus.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I get with him in the movie. I could be wrong, and I haven't watched it in a couple of years. Like it's been at least 2 years or so that I watched it to do a live stream discussion on it. But I don't think he's an actual zombie, if I remember
No.
correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm reaching, but I think ghoul kind of sounds about right.
Yep. I'd go with that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that would be a fun one for us to talk about sometime.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I remember, I definitely had some thoughts on it, and it was it was an interesting conversation, so I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah. Sorry, my little dog's in a grumpy mood, so he keeps griping at the younger one.
Aw.
Yeah, but I know we kind of got off topic. So it starts off with the Kansas Shitty Shuffle. Wow, I said
Yes.
that wrong. I called it the Kansas Shitty Shuffle. Well, it was for whoever falls victim to it.
Ain't that the truth? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've never heard that term in any other film.
No, me neither. And I think that was the interesting thing about the opening of Lucky Number Slevin is that it pulls you in. And Bruce Willis is, I'm a huge fan of Bruce Willis, and I think that the way he was telling the story was great. How they were kind of going over what he was saying. They were showing the visuals of what he was saying, and then of course, like you said, all of a sudden, boom, there's a kill, and it's so quick. Like it actually made me kind of go, oh,
Yes.
So yeah, I thought the opening was really effective to kind of let you know you're in a world where people they get killed really quickly and viciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does set, I've always said this, the opening sets up the tone for the film, and I think they did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. Because I was like, for whatever reason, and of course we find out later on, but in the beginning, the guy that Bruce Willis is telling this story to, I was kind of, focused on him thinking he was going to be an important character. You know what I mean? So when the kill happened, it definitely threw me for a loop. And of course, this whole movie is about throwing you for a loop several times, which I thought was really effective.
Yes, I enjoyed that about it. Like just when you think you have it figured out, and then wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny too, because as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, at least a third of the way in, maybe earlier than that, I was like, man, this is like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You gotta, you gotta, you gotta pay attention to every little thing. Everything is like linked to something else,
I mean,
and it's pretty interesting.
it practically could have been. All we missed was the swearing, the cigarettes, and the feet.
That was good. You're right. Oh my god, that was right. This I don't know what to say, but you were right. you caught me off guard with that. That was good.
Yeah, I guess I've been watching him. I've been watching him for a long time, so I guess that's to me what clicks is like his trademarks.
We should talk about some Tarantino movies. We really should.
That would be fun.
Seriously, I really mean it. And that was good. You should clip that out. That was great.
You know, that would be a good idea. I've been wanting to start doing shorts, and I'm like, maybe it can be one of those.
Because that was that was my honest reaction. You caught me off guard with that. That was great. Cigarettes, the killing, and the feed. The swearing.
Yes.
Oh man. Yep. Very cool.
Yeah. Same thing. Like, I think even before he started directing, like, I believe True Romance was a script he had written, and
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know how many of those marks it has in it.
You know what? I haven't seen it in, I don't even know. It's kind of like with this movie. I don't really remember it, and I feel bad saying that because I am a Quentin Tarantino fan. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's the only movie in his filmography, like you said, even though he wrote it, that's the only one that I don't know. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a few that he's written, but that's to me the one that stands out because I know it was one of those big films at the time.
yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Plus Christian Slater's in it, so big surprise.
Yep, he is.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I agree with you from a comment you made earlier that Slevin does have a good cast. I mean, I was
Mhm.
surprised at who was in it because I forgot who all, played in this one. And I look at Lucy Liu and I'm like, wow, you're so young here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's funny that you mentioned her first. She was awesome in
Mm-hmm.
this movie. Like it was like it gave a lot of balance to the film because she was just
Mm-hmm.
kind of carefree, had a little bit of comedic flair, witty,
Yes.
quick-witted. And of course, it had a little bit of the romance angle, a little bit, which kind
Mm-hmm.
of I don't know, man. Like once it got to that point of the movie, I was really super invested. So I thought Lucy Liu was great. It reminded me how much I miss seeing her and stuff.
Yeah. I think the last thing I saw her in was a vampire film,
Mm.
and it really wasn't that great. But she walks around all skimpy, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I need to start working out again.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Lucy Liu, she's definitely such a talented actress. She has a really good range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was a fun character. I mean, she comes over to borrow a cup of sugar. She has a conversation with some guy she's never met, which
Hmm.
I don't know if that actually happens in real life,
Right.
especially the asking for sugar thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then that's kind of what to me played it for comedy a little bit because it's like, what is this lady doing?
Hmm.
She's just so randomly nice to a stranger, and
Yes.
and it played well because I think her and Josh Hartnett, they had good chemistry to have that kind of um freewheeling type of relationship, getting to know each other, and it worked out really well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, especially that beginning, it was yet another thing I didn't see coming where he accidentally flashes her. She comes back, she's like, oh, I forgot the sugar.
Yeah. I was thinking to myself, look, I don't know about anyone else, but there's no way that you can just be in a towel like that, walking
Hmm.
around, sitting down, standing up, and it doesn't move a bit. And it's like
Yes.
towels do not work that way, but hey, it's a movie, so
I've always wondered that about movies because I'll do it temporarily, like say I forgot something, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how people get their towels to stay on.
that's right. Exactly. Towels do not stick to you like that. It's too funny.
Yeah, but I did like her introduction. I mean, she also just kind of seemed to come out of nowhere. I mean,
Hmm.
he's staying there and actually skipping ahead, he's there in some murdered guy's apartment, but we don't know that yet. So
Right.
that's who she goes over there looking for.
Hmm. Yep.
And then I think that was the Kansas City Shuffle guy that was the apartment, I think.
Yes. Yes, you're right. And it's funny because, like you said, it all kind of unravels at
Mm-hmm.
the end. Kind of finding out everything. I put it this way: the movie tied up all the loose ends, which I thought
Yes.
was good too. Like, because you know how some movies they'll kind of cover the big things that you want to find out, but sometimes there'll be little details that are left unsaid. This one
Mhm.
covered everything.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I keep going back, but it's I guess it's kind of one of those things that did keep popping up. He's Bruce Willis is telling the story about the little kid in the beginning,
Hmm.
and I'm sitting there like, okay, well that was a very good distraction. I'm like, so I didn't think anything of it. I didn't expect anything further to come from that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, in essence, the whole movie is an example of the Kansas City Shuffle. You know,
Hmm.
it got us to think one way and look one way, and then next thing you know, the movie takes us a different way. So it was really good. I'm serious. Like if you were here when I watched it, because I rewatched it, um, you know, when we were gonna do this the other week or whatever,
Yeah.
and then I said I gotta rewatch it again.
Yes.
And I had a smile on my face, and I was thinking, man, Kara picked a good one. This is really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it turned out to be better than I expected. I was expecting like, okay, well, this is another average action film. Like, we'll get some really good action sequences,
Yeah.
maybe some interesting kills because it has to do with a hitman.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, whoa, this movie is not what I thought at all.
Right. Hmm.
And then that's what I liked about it is I was actually, I don't know if you say engaged, but I was into it the entire film. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it didn't feel like there were any slow points, kind of like, oh, sometimes the middle of the third act slows down and it's kind of like, pick up, hello.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree. No, it kept me really invested, man. And I was just like, where is this going? You know, I wanted to know what was the mystery. That was the
Hmm.
thing. You know, I kept thinking, well,
Yeah.
where is this gonna go? You know, and I like you said, I didn't really figure out anything until it had to have been at least 60% into the film.
Yes.
I started to have some just random thoughts, and I was like, well, maybe, and then I was like, oh, well, let's just see. And
Hmm.
but it was it's a very smart movie, a smart hitman story. You know,
It is. It's really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
And I mean, same thing. I love Bruce Willis films. So, I mean, I try to watch as much stuff of his as I can.
yeah.
But I know there's like a whole hole in his catalog that I still haven't gotten around to.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, the thing about Bruce Willis, and I'm a huge fan of Bruce Willis too. Um, he has such an extensive filmography, you know,
Hmm.
and you know, some people, at least in recent years, you know, within the last decade or whatever, you know, kind of criticized him about, well, hey, he's just doing movie after movie after movie, you know, just collecting the checks.
Yeah,
But
but the thing is, now we know why he was doing that.
yes, exactly. Exactly. Now we know why. And even if it was just that, that's his prerogative. I mean, you know,
Hmm.
acting is his job. I mean, you know, it is what it is. The thing about an actor like him is even in movies that may not be great, usually he stands out and still puts in a good performance,
He
you know.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really think of a film where he was overshadowed in it. And I mean, obviously everyone thinks Die Hard first when you hear Bruce Willis, but
Mhm.
I can't think of the name of it. I know I saw it where there's kind of a film where people stay in this like a sleep stasis in their homes, and they sent out like this replicant or this it's not like an android, but it goes and interacts in daily life for them, and then the real person
Oh,
doesn't have to.
surrogates?
Was I want to say surrogates? I was thinking replicant. I'm like, no, that's Blade Runner.
That's right. I think it was called Surrogates, and I could be wrong on that, but I know what you're talking about. And it's
Mm-hmm.
actually one of his films. Again, just like with this film, I kind of blank out on it. It's one of those
Mm-hmm.
movies that I've always wanted to revisit and kind of, you know, make it clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, he's got a lot of movies like that, man, where he's just like, you know, he's just doing what he has to do or whatever. But he's always very interesting in his roles. And he can play so many types of roles. He can play the good guy, he can play the bad
Yes.
guy, he can do the action, he can do the drama. He's always been gifted with comedic timing. You know, if you think all the way
Hmm.
back to Moonlighting and stuff like
Oh,
that.
you
So
reminded me because you said he can do just about anything. And my favorite role of his, which I guess people forget he's in it, but Death Becomes Her.
yes, he was great in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was. That's a great movie. I haven't seen that in a while either. He was
Oh,
great in that.
I used to watch it all the time when I was growing up. I'm like, it was just one of those movies where I'm kind
Hmm.
of like, I don't. I was too young to really understand it, but I knew there was something about it that I was really into.
Yeah, I love the atmosphere of it. Like it had great like atmosphere. And I mean, you're talking about three actors that are just awesome and they all played off of each other so well. That's a great film.
Yeah. Oh, and then we have JJ saying Heart's War was great.
Yes. Yes. Good one, JJ. And hope you're doing well, man. Yeah. Yeah. He's you know, the Jackal, he was good in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um obviously his role in Pulp Fiction was that was a that was great.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's just talented. You know, Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Yes.
Uh,
That's like one of the best lines.
it is, man. Because you know, and it's funny because we're talking about Slevin, and I think it has some similar parallels to Quentin Tarantino films as far as
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of ins and outs and twists and turns, and Bruce Willis's role in Pulp Fiction, I thought was just so good. I'll never forget when I first saw Pulp Fiction, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh wow, Bruce Willis is in this," and he was just so good in his scenes.
Yeah.
Um, he's so talented, man. He really is.
He is. I mean, it just right now it just occurs to me I should have watched a lot more of his films, but I mean,
Mm,
technically he's retired, but the films are still there, which is the point.
right. Yep. Very true.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if I really have any favorite scenes from this one. I mean, I know everything kind of whips back around. I'm partway, even though it was, they tell us the truth later, but I'm kind of partway between that morgue scene where Lucy Liu's character got shot. Like we know it's coming, but it was still like, oh,
Yeah, that one threw me for a loop. It's funny you mention it because at that point I was thinking, wait a minute, what? Because I was just like, well, wait a minute. I thought at that point that Good Cat, Bruce Willis's character, was working with Slevin, Josh Hartnett, and I'm like, does Josh Hartnett really not care about Lucy Liu's character? And this is just everybody that's involved with this is gonna die except for them, those two. Um, so my mind was going all over the place, but I felt strongly about her getting shot because of the conversations and the connections that she had with Slevin, and specifically when they had their little romance, and when they were in bed and talking about their favorite James Bond movies. Ooh, ooh, we lost her. I am so low. Um, but yeah, there was a scene where they were talking about their favorite James Bond movies, and man, it was such a good scene.
oh, okay. I had to back out really quick because I lost audio, so I'm like, I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Oh yeah, no, I was saying when she got shot, that really caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And but the reason that it hit me so hard is because they started to have this romance, and they were so good together. Especially in that scene when they were in bed talking about their favorite James Bond, and they were
Yes.
having fun with that. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, she was a good character, and it threw me for a loop when she got shot. I was like, what? Wait a
Yes.
minute, what's going on? I thought, that Bruce Willis and Josh Hartnett were working together in this, and I was just thinking, are they just cleaning up all the loose ends, everybody? So
Yeah, but I mean, he was so nonchalant about it. I mean, I forget how he
yeah,
worded it, but he's basically saying, "I'm gonna have to kill your girlfriend. She made me. She's seen my face,"
yeah,
and just like nothing, he's like, "Okay."
mm-hmm, yeah, yep,
And I'm like, it should have occurred to me sooner that they would have planned ahead for that. But I was kind of more surprised that okay, this guy really is heartless. Wow.
mm-hmm, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I was thinking, well, that sucks because I really, like I said, I enjoyed uh, those two together
Mhm.
and their scenes at the apartment and also the scene at the restaurant. They were just cute. I know that sounds so
Mhm.
schlocky, but they were just kind of cute together, their conversation, because she was such a lighthearted character that was so
Yeah.
interested in this, situation and trying to uncover it and figure out all the clues. And she was pretty good. She was figuring out a lot of the clues.
Yeah.
So
I forget which character she had referenced. It wasn't. I halfway want to say Matlock, but I think that's wrong.
Columbo.
Columbo.
Hmm.
Yes, she referenced that. So I mean, it makes sense why she would be into all the intrigue and all of that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, she's like, "You remind me so much of James Bond," So it was cool. It was really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, another one of the things I didn't expect, but it's part of that whole wraparound where it makes sense as you go is Slevin was the name of a horse. That wasn't his actual name.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny because, well, like you said, it wraps around right to the beginning of the film when Bruce Willis was telling the story of the Kansas City Shuffle and saying it all starts with a horse.
Hmm.
So it really did make sense. I mean, like I said, man, I like these types of movies because it just takes you on a journey.
Hmm.
It really does. It's a smart film. It really, really is.
Yes, I enjoyed it. I mean, I can't really think of any character that I disliked, like, oh, this person's unrealistic, or
Hmm.
this guy just ruins the movie. And that kind of pulls back to Lucy Liu. Like, I think the film needed her, otherwise the film would have been a lot darker.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She definitely lightened it up quite a bit, and she provided um, some really tender moments. She provided smiles, and
Hmm.
you need that in a movie like this. You need to have some balance. So I thought it was really smart that they casted someone like her, who's got great charisma and great screen presence, anyways.
Hmm.
Um, so it was smart having her in it. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised that she got cast for that role because I'm used to seeing her. The first thing I ever saw her in was that show Ally McBeal, and I mean, she was
Hmm.
very stoic and just kind of didn't goof around or anything. And then of course I remember Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Um, she even played a vampire hunter. I wish I could remember the name of the movie, but this is the first time I ever see fun Lucy Liu.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. I think I usually don't see her in this type of role, and like you said, I mean, again, referencing Quentin in Kill Bill. Holy crap, man! You talking about
Mm-hmm.
heartless and just down to business. I mean, she's
Yeah.
just she can pretty much pull off anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she definitely sold that, but I mean, I think she kind of fell into this. I don't want to say she was typecast, but I think, yeah, she kind of did fall into this little pocket where she played very similar characters for a little while.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the weird thing was Josh Hartnett. I think this is the only film he's ever done where he didn't have messy hair the entire movie.
It's so true. Oh man, Josh Hartnett. And it's funny because he's kind of making a comeback. He's got um that movie coming out in I think it's August or whatever, Trap from M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it looks awesome. I mean, I don't know how you feel about M. Night, but
Yeah.
I think when M. Night is good, he's good. And
Yeah.
this movie, the trailer has been out, and I've only seen the trailer, but Josh Hartnett is the lead,
Oh,
and
okay.
it looks like it's gonna be good. It looks like he's gonna have some fun in this movie. That's all I'll say because I don't want to ruin
Hmm.
anything for you, but
Yeah, I
but
mean, I
yeah.
don't watch trailers, so I mean, I heard there was
Mm-hmm.
going to be a new one. I don't know what the story is, so I didn't know he was in it, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I just assumed he had given up acting because I haven't seen him around in so long.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I thought he was just, kind of just chilling, but yeah, I think this movie, yeah, I saw something online where they were talking about his comeback
Hmm.
into film and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, that's cool. I've always enjoyed him, and
Hmm.
so yeah, it's good for him. He's talented. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of H2O. I mean, and I always say this because I think it's cute to say, but I'm like the film was as watery as the title.
yeah. Well, look, and I'm a huge uh, Halloween franchise fan,
Hmm.
and I definitely, I definitely have a lot of issues with H2O. It's funny because one of my good buddies, well, and I know a lot of people are huge fans of it. I mean, it's definitely a it's a popular film in the franchise, and I don't hate it, but I just don't think that it has enough of what makes a Halloween movie
Mm.
great in it. You know, um, I think he was fine in it, but he didn't have much to do. So
Yeah. Um, I mean, I'll take The Curse of Michael Myers over H2O.
ooh, now that's an interesting. See, now you're gonna make me say, man, I gotta get you on my channel. We gotta do some discussion because I know people will really have interesting feelings on both sides of the fence for that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I think Curse definitely is a better Halloween film. It feels
Hmm.
like a Halloween film. It has the atmosphere of a Halloween film. I think the Michael in Curse is better than the one in H2O. That's a hot take for some people, but I have to agree with you in a lot of ways. The only thing about Curse, and I don't want to, because I can rant about this for hours. The only thing the only thing about Curse that I think, well, that I know I have issues with is I just think that trying to explain Michael's power
Hmm.
and his and over explaining his mythology, and I think this is true for almost any horror icon or horror villain. I just think you always run into so many potholes that can, kind of mess up the flow of the film.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't a big fan of trying to over explain Michael's mythology because I think he's scariest when he's
When you
more
don't know
unknown.
anything. Yes.
Yeah, yes, absolutely 100% for me anyways. And
Hmm.
and I also, once you got into the whole thing about, him and Jamie Lloyd, his niece and the baby and all that, and I was like, "Oh, come on guys. Let's let's
Yeah.
not let's not muddy up the waters too much here. This is a Halloween film." So but
Yeah.
um but yeah, other than that, I think there's a lot of great stuff on it.
Yeah. Oh, and then just really quick. So JJ was saying, I believe the Lucy Liu movie you're thinking about is Rise Blood Hunter. It is. Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't clicking with me. And oddly enough, Marilyn Manson has a cameo in that.
Oh, really? See, now Rise, that's another one I haven't seen in forever.
Hmm.
Um, it's another one of those that maybe at some point I'll catch back up on. It's funny because when you hear from folks, whether it's in the comments or online or whatever, and they'll say, "Hey, have you seen such and such a movie and this and that?" And most movies I do check out or at least have memory of or whatever, but there's a bunch that you don't. And I mean,
Hmm.
we and I know you do this too. I mean, I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah. I mean,
you know
sometimes they blur together and it's like, I don't remember
yeah,
what I watched.
yeah, I mean, especially as a YouTuber, if you're watching movies to talk about them or review them or whatever, I mean, that's an ongoing thing. And so we're
Hmm.
not even talking about just movies that you want to watch just for personal pleasure
Yeah.
and entertainment. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's fun. It's fun.
I mean, I enjoy it, especially the research part of it and just sitting
Mm,
there like, whoa, I didn't know this about the movie. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't remember every single film I've researched. I'm surprised I still remember some of the ones from my early days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because time flies. Time is weird on YouTube because sometimes it seems like it goes by so fast that you just can't even, it's like a blur. But then there's
Hmm.
the other part where sometimes it feels like it's, a day at a time or a week at a time, like thinking about us doing this, on my on my schedule and the way I was doing YouTube stuff, I was like, okay, so we got lucky number Slevin. That's going to be, my first
Mm-hmm.
live stream of the week with Kara. And so YouTube is funny because, sometimes the time goes by so fast, and sometimes it is kind of slower.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Movies can blur into each other so easily. They really can.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think at least for me, because I'm into the whole retro thing, so I watch older films because that's just naturally what I'm into. But
Hmm.
I always think it's fun, like whenever a movie I reviewed years ago gets a re-release and everybody's like, I've never heard of this. And I'm like, oh yeah, check out this review.
Yeah. Right. Yes, indeed. That's right. uh, yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a couple of times, and I'm like, you know what? It's a missed opportunity if I don't. I mean, people can learn about it,
Yep.
but it also, I mean, as shameless as it is, it gets my name out there, kind of like, well, this is my work. This is what I do.
Yeah. Yep. Very true. Well, I will say this. When you talk about a movie, and like you said, you really dig the research, you can tell that, you know, in the way that you present it, the way you talk about it. I've always thought that is that I can see the passion that you have, not only for what you're talking about, but like for film in general, which is
Mm-hmm.
really, really cool, man. I mean, and for other people that are movie fans, like myself, whatever, it's really magical in a way, because in real life, I don't get a chance to connect with many people on that level talking about film.
Mm-hmm.
So having a space, online and like YouTube, to be able to, talk with people about
Yeah.
film, it's awesome, man. It's just like back in the day when people would get together to do book clubs,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
except we're just online. So
Yeah. I mean, what do you say? We were doing social distancing before it became a thing.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
6 feet now, we're miles apart.
Yeah. That's right. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't really think of any other scenes from Slevin that really stood out for me. I mean, the morgue scene was just more surprise than anything. I mean, did you have
Yeah.
any favorite scenes?
I think maybe once we got, well, there were different scenes that I really enjoyed. Like I said, when they were having their little romance, their dinner scene, and then obviously in the bedroom, and just kind of being cute with each other and talking James Bond of all things, which,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Bond fan, so that was cool. But then near the end, when you have the rabbi and the boss, Ben Kingsley's character and Morgan Freeman's character tied up, and things start kind of being, revealed. I thought that was a really cool scene, the way it
Mm-hmm.
all came together, and you just realized how determined and cold-blooded Slevin is. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a scene that stood out too. But it's funny too. As much as I'm just saying that right now, in my mind, I'm also thinking about the first time he meets Morgan Freeman's character or Ben Kingsley's character, and so the setup was great too, and the conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, these actors, they were just so good. Like anytime a movie for me, and again, I'm going to say it again, that's why I'm referencing Quentin Tarantino, because Tarantino does this as well. When you have characters and a story and like tons of dialogue that can keep my attention, for me, anyways, my opinion, I know it's a good film,
Mm-hmm.
and this movie had that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone was well cast. I think the characters were written really, really well. I can't talk. Um, I mean, the thing that surprised me most, I mean, other than all the little backstories where Bruce Willis punched Slevin and then he tells this story about, no, I got robbed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say the was it yeah, Bruce Willis was playing both sides between the two gangsters.
Hmm.
And at first I'm like, what in the world is going on here? But then they have to make it a little bit more interesting by you have this rabbi wannabe who's a gangster.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it was pretty. Some of it is funny too when you think about it, but yeah, it was cool stuff, man. It was a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's kind of one of the hard things about this film, not that it's a bad critique, but it's difficult to speak about it chronologically because everything intertwines so much.
Mm, that's a good point. Yeah, it's really all over the map. So you can't you can't just jump into the middle of this film. I mean, if you do, you're going to miss a lot of kind of the magic of what they're trying to do with it,
Hmm.
which again is very similar to like Pulp Fiction. You know, it's out of order. Things are being revealed, and then new questions are being asked, and so forth. So it's really interesting. So if you watch it from the beginning and you go on the journey, that's where you're going to really get all of the great stuff that the film is trying to do, and I think it's really successful at it. But
Yeah.
yeah, reveals, they're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what held my interest and that's what kept me hooked. But I mean, it
Hmm.
starts off really good. I mean, there's that surprise with the broken neck at the beginning that I didn't see coming.
Hmm.
And then it feels like it slows down when we move on to he's in the apartment, he meets Lucy Liu, and she's
Yep.
just so quirky. It's kind of like I'm not wondering where is this going or this is a slow point. You just kind of go with it.
Yeah. Yep. Quirky is a good word. That's a good way to describe her, because that's exactly what she was. She was quirky. You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I thought it was really good. I don't really have any other scenes that stand out for me. It was just, I know I keep coming back to the morgue, but other than the beginning, those were the only two scenes that really surprised me.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Well, the only other thing that got me was at the end, like, okay, so you realize that Slevin was the kid,
Hmm.
from the beginning. So that was a cool reveal. And he's getting revenge on these gangsters who did what they did. But then
Hmm.
at the end, because Stanley Tucci as the cop
Hmm.
was on the radio with, I guess, his boss or whatever at the police department, and the it might have been his superior or whatever is telling the story about the name Slevin. So that's how it kind of wraps around the whole story. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, okay. But then you realize, because then Slevin is in the back seat and he shoots Stanley Tucci. And it's like, what? And then you realize that Stanley Tucci was in on it too, because he was the guy with the shotgun and the overcoat that went into
Yeah.
the to kill the mom, because the
Hmm.
mom was in a different place than the father. So, that was like that final little mini extra twist,
Yeah.
so that kind of caught me too. I was like, wow, they again, it everything wrapped up at the end of the film.
Yeah, I mean, you reminded me. I totally forgot that Bruce Willis had been called in to kill the kid because no one else wanted to. They called him in
Mhm.
special just for the kid.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy too, man? It's like, wow, you know? And it was funny too how they parallel how when he pointed the gun at the kid who is Slevin, we come to find out it's Slevin. And
Hmm.
when he turns around and he looks at Bruce Willis and he just has this look on his face. And then
Hmm.
of course at the end of the film, when we realized that Lucy Liu had a vest on, so
Hmm.
when she got shot, she survived it, and they were at the whatever it was, the airport or whatever, and Bruce Willis appears out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and Slevin says, "How did you find us?" And he says, "I'm a world class assassin, you idiot."
Yeah.
And
Duh.
Lucy, yeah, and so, but then they parallel it because Lucy Liu has that same look on her face to Bruce Willis, kind of that look like,
Hmm.
is this gonna be it for me, and
Yeah, and
maybe,
she's so
yeah.
scared too. I mean, I think that's part of what really sells it.
Yeah. Good point. Listen, there are a lot of actors that are talented, but there are special actors like her in that moment that sell something without saying a single word, you
Hmm.
know, and she was very good at that. You could really tell that she was absolutely scared shitless. And like I said, that look in her eyes was kind of, and they showed it in the film. They kind of paralleled that to Slevin when he was a kid, when he was looking at Bruce Willis as the gun was pointed at him. And
Hmm.
so, in other words, that was a way that you knew that Bruce Willis wasn't going to come after Lucy Liu ever. She was safe.
Hmm.
So it was cool. It was cool. That's
I mean,
a
it.
smart film.
Yeah, I mean, I one of the likable things is, I mean, twice it shows that Bruce Willis has a heart. I mean, he's an assassin, but he's actually capable of thinking of others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, hey, he took the kid under, took the kid and presumably was like a foster, parent or whatever to the
Hmm.
kid, and so um, in his line of work, that's a huge thing to spare the kid, to spare a life and so
Hmm.
forth. But then to basically have a kid and help, raise a kid, it definitely showed his heart.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't think about it, but I mean, it speaks more about how good he is. The fact that, okay, he hasn't worked in that town in 20 years. Now we know why.
Hmm.
But I mean, the fact that he was able to nurture this kid, okay, yeah, he taught him some of the stuff on the trade, but
Hmm.
nobody ever went looking for him. Nobody ever discovered what he actually did.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Because at the end, Ben Kingsley and Morgan Freeman, they're like, "No, not you. You're dead. You're
Hmm.
dead." So yeah, it's a good twist. It really, really was. The whole plan was smart. Because again, you had these two gangsters that lived in their respected apartments, high rises. They never left their room
Yes.
for 20 years, because they were afraid of assassination. And like Josh Hartnett said when he was confronting the both of them when they were both tied up, is like, oh, how do you reach an unreachable person?
Hmm.
How do you get close to someone that you can't get close to? You get them to get close to you. And I was
Hmm.
like, wow, that's pretty that's pretty smart.
It's clever, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the whole thing started about don't kill my son, but I mean,
Hmm.
well, you thought you killed someone else's kid. Hello.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, they definitely played on the paranoia that these two rival um, crime lords had with each
Hmm.
other, and so they were just picked apart one by one. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't really think too much about the film like anything else. I mean,
Mm,
I really have no complaints about the story, the writing, who played which part. I mean, like it all seemed to flow very well.
I agree. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Everything worked out very well. It was interesting. Had some good twists, a couple shocks, and and a little bit of fun. So it was really balanced.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give it a full 10 just because I don't believe in perfect scores, but I,
Hmm.
I would probably be the most generous I can be is I'd give it a 9.
Yeah, I definitely think it gets a pretty high score. I mean, if I was to give it a score out of 10, I think um yeah, I'd say 8.5, 8.5. I
Hmm.
could go with a 9, if I watch it again, um, and absorb it some more. But I'll say this: it definitely is a movie that I said to myself, "Wow, I should have been on this a lot sooner," because I love these types
Yeah.
of movies. I love these types of movies.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way when we did Guns Akimbo. I always saw it
Hmm.
around and it seemed interesting, even though I didn't really quite get the concept. And then I finally sat down and watched it. I'm like, holy cow.
Right. I know. Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Yeah, but I definitely do enjoy very pulpy films.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this one had pulp. I mean, it was a serious film with light moments,
Hmm.
but I still really liked it. It had a good story.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I know previously we had talked about doing another film discussion. I don't know if you're still up for it, but I had brought up Smoking
Yeah.
Aces. I'm like stuck in the early 2000s.
I love the early 2000s. Yeah, I do.
Hmm.
What do you think you'd want to do next?
Well, I mean, that's the one I was thinking if you did want to do Smoking Aces. I mean, I think you speak very, like you have the verbiage. I'm not that well versed in action films, so I enjoy the way you talk about them.
Oh, thanks. Didn't we do Smoking Aces?
No, not yet.
Oh, we didn't?
No, we've
Okay.
done Guns Akimbo and then Slevin right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, but I do love action films.
Yeah.
They're just it's funny because growing up, action was always kind of parallel to horror for me.
Hmm.
So I've always had an affinity for action films, and especially action films like these where there's a story intertwined with it, a really good story intertwined with it, and some really interesting performances by actors. Those are my favorites. They really are.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm more about the story, and I mean, I know I like watching bad films just for fun,
Yeah.
but I mean, to me, I've always said I can forgive bad computer generated effects if it's a good story.
Yep. Same here. Same here.
Yeah, I mean, or even if your budget's so low, the majority of your film's in the dark. I'm like, just give me the story.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sometimes you can, look past those things because, and especially with older films, that's just how it was. You had filmmakers that were shooting movies guerrilla style, and they
Hmm.
just they had the resources that they had, and they tried to make the best that they could with what they had. And I can appreciate that there's a charm to a lot of those films in a way, even though they may not be perfectly presented.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch any kind of film. Don't ask me about musicals because I don't know too many, but I can
Yeah.
name a few.
Mm. Yep. Yeah, musicals, it's definitely I don't revisit a lot of musicals, but there are some that are fantastic. It's funny you mentioned musicals because when we went to go see Longlegs, they
Hmm.
had a lot of old school, well, not old school, but older films on, poster art
Hmm.
throughout the theater. And one of the last ones before we left the theater that I saw was the greatest the greatest showman.
I
I think
liked
that's what
that one.
me too. Isn't that funny? Again, I'm not huge into musicals, but I do
Hmm.
appreciate the good ones, and there's a few that I really have enjoyed over the years. And I can't remember how I watched it. I think maybe I had someone that said, "Hey, you should check it out. It was really good."
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. And I'm a huge Hugh Jackman fan. So I
Hmm.
remember watching it and I was like, holy shit, this is really great. It's a great
Yes.
movie. Great musical.
Yeah. I mean, the first way I came about it was someone was playing the soundtrack in their car, and they're like, oh, this is this scene, this is that scene.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I was hanging out for the day, and then we get back to their place, and they put the movie on, and I'm like, okay, I recognize the song, so that helps.
Hmm.
But then it's like, oh, I really like the story, and then when he adds in this opera singer, kind of like a natural
Yeah.
wonder.
Yes.
And the curious thing to me was, okay, he thought he fell in love with her. It was actually her talent that he was into, not the woman.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's a really good movie. When we saw the poster and I was saying it to Coriander, I said, "Man, this is a really good movie," and she had seen it too, and she said, "Yeah, it is really good." I'm like, it just shows that again, musicals, even for folks that may not be big into them, they can still
Mhm.
enjoy them.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit or miss. Like, I've never watched it all the way because the beginning put me off. But Bye Bye Birdie, I the where she's just singing solo, and I'm like, I find it so obnoxious.
I haven't seen that one though. I haven't seen that one. Well, and some of them, yeah. I think it's well, just like with regular, films in other genres, it's all about the story. You got to get connected to the story or to the characters, and
Hmm.
if that doesn't happen, and especially in the opening or the beginning of the film, like with Slevin, we were pulled in by this
Hmm.
story of the damn Kansas City Shuffle.
Yes.
If we weren't pulled in by that, who knows? We may not have felt as positive about the film. You know.
Yeah, I mean, And at least it clicks right now. But I think if it hadn't been for that story, I wouldn't have been so connected to the film.
Yeah. Yep. Same here. Same here. Because, like you said too, once you get past the story, and then we kind of meet Josh Hartnett, and then he meets Lucy Liu. It's kind of, it's building blocks at that point. Not anything, nothing big is happening, but because of the opening, you're curious to see
Hmm.
where it's going. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of another film that's similar. I mean, I know you keep mentioning Tarantino and Pulp Fiction, but I, I don't know. I mean, this kind of seems to be in its own category.
yeah, yeah, I think so because I can't really think of anything that's like it as well, because the hitman stuff, and the little bit of the romance and the way that the story wraps around with the mystery. um there's not too much that I could say that I would, if I was to describe it to someone. The only thing that I would say is just that you've got the hitman story, and it's got some Quentin esque type of dialogue here and there to keep you invested. That's the only way I could really
Yeah.
describe it.
Um, I mean, it's definitely a film with multiple subplots,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and it's true. You have to pay attention. You have to stay sitting the entire time. Don't get up and grab your snacks. Don't get up and go to the no bathroom breaks. I mean, unless you
Yep.
plan on pausing, which I think ruins the film.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed this one. I can't really think of too much else that we might have missed as far as talking points, unless there was something else that you were wanting to bring up.
No, I think that covers pretty much everything. I think that for anyone that hasn't seen it, or haven't seen it in a long time, I think it'll be a fun revisit. I really do,
Hmm.
because again, it's a ride that you take with the film, and you really don't know where it's going for a long time, and that's again that curiosity. I appreciated that. So, but yeah, I think we covered all the high points of it.
Yeah. So I think we're good. Do you have like any upcoming projects you were wanting to promote?
Um, well, I've been working on a new series recently, in the last, I don't know what it's been, 2 weeks or so, um, where I'm talking about movies, of course, and it's called Why You Hate, and
Oh yeah.
it's basically just talking about films that have a lot of not controversy, but you've got people that love it, you've got people that may not love it,
Hmm.
and I just go over talking points about the film. I have a little fun with it, poke a little fun at the movie, but
Hmm.
also try to show a different side of the issues, and try to maybe show people that have issues with it, that hey, there's some good stuff in it too. Like, well, my most recent one is TCM2. I just uh
Oh, I like that one.
yeah, right. Well, but there's a lot of people that have issues with it. Um, so I think I just put that one out on Friday. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so I talk about, basically talking about what a lot of people have issues with,
Hmm.
and trying to acknowledge that, but also to show a different side, a different talking point of those issues. So in other words, it's been a really fun series. I've got 5 episodes in, and it seems like people are enjoying them. So
Oh,
you know how it is. I figure, hey, well, I'll keep doing this for a little while.
yeah,
So
yeah. Of course. I mean, especially if it's something the audience enjoys. Yeah.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
first question is, have you done Blair Witch 2 yet?
No, I have not. And it's so funny that you say that, because, so TCM2 was my fifth episode. And
Okay.
I think by the time I got to my fourth episode, which was Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's
Hmm.
Revenge, and a lot of people really enjoyed that one. That's when I realized, okay, I've got to start kind of thinking ahead. So I started to jot down, upcoming movies that I want to try to tackle.
Hmm.
And I it's funny because I have Blair Witch and Blair Witch 2 on that list.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I think and I don't know when I'm gonna do them, but again, I just want to talk about movies that I think people will feel strongly about one way or the other, and I think both of those films, especially, well, yeah, especially Blair Witch 2, I think I think would cause a lot of interest.
I don't know if it's too bad to review, but have you considered The Howling 3, The Marsupials?
Ooh, no, I haven't. Ooh, and I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Howling series, man. I'm telling you, talk about jumping off a cliff. I love the original. Um,
Yeah.
but then, wow. Ooh. Mm.
Yeah, I think the one that I lean more towards, I think it's the fourth one where they're in the castle and it's more like Clue. They're trying to figure out who the werewolf is.
Oh, yeah, see, I don't even remember that one. So that one's actually pretty good.
I enjoyed that one, especially the mystery aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Oh,
don't know what number it is, but there's also one that involves a freak show. I liked that one also.
hmm. Okay. I might have to revisit it because I haven't watched Howling films, other than the original.
Hmm.
I haven't seen those films in so long.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my main criticism is Dee Wallace's werewolf. I'm like, that's a Pomeranian. That's not a werewolf.
I know. I don't know what they were thinking with that. It's like, oh man. Yep. You gotta love it though. It's like it's a movie that has so many pretty cool effects, and then you get to the end with that
Hmm.
big
And
with
it's
that
like,
big
what
reveal.
happened?
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh man, that's a bad way to end it.
Hmm.
And I love Dee Wallace, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was some bad
Uh,
bad makeup.
I was thinking about her this morning, and it kind of occurs to me. I'm like, she's kind of like the horror version of Betty White.
Yeah, yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah,
She's
I mean,
been in so much.
yeah, and I've seen her in conventions, and I'm like, she's this sweet older woman with a foul mouth, but she still manages to be cute about it.
Yes. Yep. Agreed. I'd love to meet her at a convention. I haven't had the chance to yet. Um, Coriander met her years and years and years ago,
Ooh,
but I've never gotten a chance to meet Dee Wallace. But I really do love her work, and she's been in so many great films, and everything I've ever heard about her, including from Coriander. She's so sweet.
yes,
She's funny, but she's a sweet lady, and I hope to get a chance to meet her someday.
yeah. I mean, I would say definitely she's one of the good ones. She's worth meeting.
Mm.
The one I regret not having met because I didn't go to Texas Frightmare that year, but it was Sherilyn Flynn, Julian
Oh,
Sands, and is her name Jennifer Lynch, David Lynch's daughter?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a mini reunion of Boxing Helena.
Nice. And you didn't go to that one, you said?
No, I wished I had,
Oh.
especially because I had recently watched the film. I mean, I've always been into Julian Sands, and I mean, I only
Mm-hmm.
know Sherilyn Flynn from Twin Peaks, but I was
Yep.
just really pumped up about it because I recently saw the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough, man, because at certain conventions, if it doesn't line up with your schedule and if the stars aren't aligned, you might miss that opportunity, which is too bad. Like we went to um, one in New Jersey 2 years ago,
Mm.
and they had a whole bunch of cool people. We met a lot of cool people, but they had David Arquette was there, and Matthew
Oh, okay.
Lillard, and um, Chris Sarandon. They had a mini Fright Night reunion and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
And Nev Campbell was going to be there, and I was just thinking, oh man, this is going to be like a bucket list for me. This is going to be so cool because I love Nev Campbell, and her schedule got changed, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
she wasn't there. I was like, ah, crap. But we did get to meet Matthew Lillard was awesome. Chris Sarandon was awesome. Um, Robert Englund, we got a chance to meet Robert Englund. I was just
Oh,
like, okay, so everything is, the circle is
he's,
now complete.
I mean, he's one of the tough ones. He always has a super long line.
Yes. Oh my God. The line. It's so funny because when we went, this was another convention, but when we went to see, Robert Englund was there, Heather Langenkamp, Lisa Wilcox. It was a nightmare on Elm Street reunion. We
Hmm.
got there on Friday night, late Friday night. It's a 3-day convention. And we get there Friday night. And, a lot of the talent, the celebrities are, they're doing autographs, they're at their booths and this and that. But it's late. So I said to Coriander, I said, well, let's just see. Let's just check it out. Maybe we'll get lucky. So
Hmm.
we noticed that it's not many people there yet. And so
Okay.
except for in front of Robert still had a huge line. But beside him was Heather Langenkamp and
Hmm.
Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare 4 and 5. And so we got a chance to stand there and talk to Heather Langenkamp for like 20 minutes or so.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. She was telling us stories about, places that she's lived, and she talked about her um, you know, some of her fun dates that she has had with her husband, scenic dates, and all that type of. It was so personable, and it was
Hmm.
because we were there at a time when the convention, was just kind of, getting set up, and people weren't really, the crowds weren't there, in other words,
Hmm.
but Robert still had a line. It was at least 50 people or so in line to get an autograph from him. So we didn't get a chance to talk to him that Friday night, but on Saturday, when we came back, um, we got a chance to talk to him. We were in line for at least, at least 45 minutes to an hour,
Mm.
but it was worth it. We got a chance to, you know, say a couple words and get an autograph. And then he did a Q&A in a conference room, and he was talking for at least an hour. And I can listen to Robert talk about anything all day because he's such an interesting guy.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about the business and about his early memories of his career and Hollywood and all these different types of things. He's just such a charismatic guy. He's truly, to me anyways, a living legend, and I was so glad to get the chance to meet him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to meet him, but that's what puts me off is the long line. And
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think one of the most, and I didn't do it, but one of the most, yeah, one of the ones that I'm more hesitant about meeting. I know I'm already stuttering over myself, but that would be Tom Savini, like just because I've heard bad stories.
Yeah. I have too. I have too. I've never met him, but I've heard bad stories too, which is too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I really like you. I don't ruin that. I'm just going to stay away.
Yeah. No, I agree. You don't want to ruin the affinity that you have for them, and he's made so many of my favorite movies special,
Hmm.
so I wouldn't want to mess that up. I agree with you. I really do. It's like
Yeah.
and it's too bad that some stars are like that. I don't understand, but at the same time, hey, it's their choices that they make. I mean, we had another cool story is we got a chance to not only meet Kane Hodder,
Oh, okay.
um, but when we went to the convention, it was in Massachusetts, so it was a smaller convention. We were in line, not too long, just about 15 minutes. And when we got up to him, of course, me, I was like, oh my God, I know you hear this all the time, but I absolutely love Friday the 13th, and you're such a big reason I do. And he smiled, and of course Coriander is a huge Friday fan as well, so she
Hmm.
said her stuff, and he said, "Hey, sit down here for a second," and he just started talking to us, and we sat. I've got pictures. We sat right there with Kane Hodder at his
Hmm.
booth for like almost a half hour. It was
Wow.
crazy. While he was still giving autographs. And at one point, I nudged Coriander. We're sitting there. I'm like, I can't believe this. And it was just so cool. It was a smaller convention, so there
Hmm.
weren't tons of people. But he just said, "Hey, sit down right here for a little bit." and we sat down and we were just kind of talking with him. And the point I'm making was, I mean, this is Kane Hodder. I mean,
Yeah.
in horror circles, he's a legend, but he was
Hmm.
so kind and personable, and he's funny as hell too. He's got a great sense of humor.
Oh, okay, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, he's hilarious, but he's so kind and humble.
Hmm.
I couldn't say enough great things about him and that experience because it totally blew us away. Totally blew
Hmm.
us away.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of George Romero slightly. He didn't like people making a fuss over him. He's like, I'm a regular person just like you.
Mm,
Yeah, and I mean, because I had seen one of his panels,
mm,
and right off somebody wanted to start like, oh my God, and this and that, and they're
yeah.
like, slow down.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the impression I got. Really doesn't like people making a fuss. He just wants to be treated like the average Joe.
Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I can understand that. And I think that's so cool, man. It's like I don't know. I mean, when you get to a point where you're so revered like a George Romero or like a Kane Hodder or whatever, it's like I'm sure it can be easy to get lost in that. But for guys like that who stay pretty humble and want to be just a regular person, and they're kind to the fans, and they understand that fans have this admiration and so forth. I think it's so cool, man. You literally can make someone's day just by being a cool person to them,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's cool. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, you can make somebody's entire trip. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
used to go on vacation just to go to conventions, and I could always walk away saying so and so was the highlight of my trip.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Absolutely. No doubt about it. It's funny too because don't get me wrong, it was great to meet Robert. We didn't get a chance to talk to him really, but it was just a couple of words. And it was great talking to Heather Langenkamp, one of my favorite final girls, and Lisa Wilcox too. But who really stood out in that convention?
Hmm.
It was Kim Myers from Nightmare 2, who played Lisa.
Oh, okay.
And she was just there was just something about her that was that extra humbleness, you know and she just stood outside of her booth with us and talked for a while. And we took pictures, we got to talk to her for a little bit, not too long, but she just had an energy about her that was so kind, and I'll never forget. I told her, I said Nightmare 2 was the first nightmare film I ever watched, and you were absolutely awesome in it. And she had this huge smile that came onto her face, and she gave me a couple hugs, and it was
Oh,
just so
wow.
cool. She was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made the trip. It really did.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's hard for me to picture her face because there was a final boy in that one.
Yes, yep, and he was there too, and we didn't get a chance to talk to him, Mark Patton,
Hmm.
but we saw him in the cafe. Like, the hotel had a cafeteria,
Uh-huh.
and we saw him 2 mornings in a row, just sitting there with everyone else with a tray of food, getting food. And the first time I saw him, I was like, "Holy shit, that's Mark Patton!" And he walks by, and he might have been only like 40 feet away from us at his own little booth. And
Hmm.
I know I'm gawking at him, right? I'm trying to be cool, but I'm gawking at this dude. And he looks over at me, and he puts on this huge smile, and he kind of waved and did a wink and all that. I'm like, "Oh, that was just so cool." Like, he knew,
Yeah.
he knows what's going on. But that was cool. He didn't have to do that. He could have just ignored the moment.
Hmm.
But it was cool of him, man. So um, some of these celebrities, these horror legends and actors and actresses, some of them are really cool, man. They can really, like you said, make your trip so worthwhile.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had met the Saskas one year. It actually turned out to be right on my birthday, and I was really excited to go. And then I kind of walked around. I walked away thinking to myself, I'm like, they come off as friendly, but they're really not.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
had a chance
it's
to meet
like a
them.
lot of underhanded stuff that they'll say, and it's like, at least for me, it didn't like really quite hit at the moment, but then I walk away and I'm like, hey.
Uh, that's cute. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But alrighty. I guess I'll reach out to you in a couple of weeks and see if you want to set up anything for Smoking Aces.
Okay.
Um, oh, you like that movie? Yeah. Yeah,
Le-
because okay. Because I was even thinking, me and Monty had been thinking about doing the flying guillotine. I don't know if you'd be interested in that. I mean, if I remember correctly, you're really into martial arts.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'd be interested in trying to set that up. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I forget Monty's schedule. I know he likes to have dinner early, so I'll have to check in with
Yeah.
him and see what works.
Yeah. No, that'd be really cool. I'd be up for that. As long as I can, make it work for my schedule, I'd definitely be up for it. Anytime with you guys. It's
Mm-hmm.
always fun. It's always fun talking with y'all. Seriously.
Oops, there goes the dog again. But yeah, I'll definitely reach back out to you about those. And thanks for coming on. I mean, I always enjoy our conversations. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, me too. It's like I said. I mean, this is why I do it, because I love movies and I love talking about them, and when I can do that with other people that also have a passion for it, it's
Hmm.
awesome, man. It's awesome. It really is. So I appreciate the
Yeah.
invite as always.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely like to have you on a little more often. I mean,
Hmm.
like I said, I mean, I enjoy our conversations. You're a lot of fun. I mean, somebody else who I also really enjoy is Lady Sasha. She's a lot of fun to
Yes.
talk to.
Oh my God, she is hilarious.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's awesome, and she knows her stuff, man. Like
Yeah, she does. Like,
yeah,
she'll leave me sometimes like, I did not know that, or
yeah.
wow.
Yep. She's really good with like fun facts and behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
Hmm.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Um, but I think that's about all I've got. I don't have any upcoming projects. I've been kind of lazy about setting up my streams when I used to have one every week.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would definitely like to get back into a regular schedule. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm always up for a conversation because like I told you before, I enjoy our conversations too. So I'm always
Hmm.
down. I'm always down for it.
Alrighty, cool. Well
Cool.
then, looking forward to the next one. But
All right.
yeah, but as always, that is all I have for you guys for today, and I will talk to you later.
See you later.